Today I'll be demonstrating the joiner surfacer. The joiner surfacer comes in many different sizes, and the size is determined by the width of the table. You have an in-feed table, you have an out-feed table, you have a fence, and you have your guard.
And under the guard are the knives or blades, and they're on a cylinder.
Guard must be in place at all times. Key, when using any machine, eye safety. When we're out in the shop, we always want to have these on. We want to be working on anti-skid material. We don't want to have any scraps on the floor. We want to make sure the table is clear and free of scraps. It's real important when using the machines in here, not only do we have eye protection on, but it is good habit to get in on the ear protection. You don't want to be like me, because I always yell because I've lost a lot of my hearing after 30 years of teaching and not wearing these. These are very good, all right? But a lot of times what I'll be wearing are these or another one. And some people like to bring in their own. These are disposable ones. They fit in there, nice and easy. The machines are very loud, and the decimals there will affect your hearing, not in one sitting, but using it over and over and over. So it's a good habit to wear eye protection is a must. Ear protection is just behind it. When we are going to join or surface a board, the board must be at least 12 inches in length. Here we have one that is 16.5 inches. That's fine. It sounds pretty logical. In-feed table, out-feed table. The board goes from the in-feed table to the out-feed table, never in the reverse direction. The joiner, the out-feed table needs to be the exact same height as your blades. The in-feed table is a little lower, so when the wood comes across, the blades will cut it, and it will be perfectly even down here. If the out-feed table is not set right, the joiner will not work correctly. It is important that you don't adjust this, that we do. But at home, you want to learn that the blade and the out-feed table are the same height. The in-feed table is adjusted. If we go back here, here is how we do adjust it. So on the in-feed table, we can lift this up and we can take different increments off. And the reason why it goes up to a 1/2 inch, you would never take off a 1/2 inch. What I could do is, if I was doing a rabbet joint, okay, which you can do on this, I wouldn't do it. I would do it on the table saw, but you could do it on this. So I would make one pass, I'd take a 1/16 off, you know, and then I'd raise it up, do another pass, and then another pass, and slowly go up to a 1/2 inch. But we have this set. And if you were doing a rabbet joint, I'll show you how to do that easier on another machine. I have this set, we're not going to adjust it. If you have a joiner at home, sometimes you might want to adjust it depending on your hardwood or softwood. A 1/16 of an inch for hardwood, an 1/8 for softwoods. But until you are well versed in woods, that's hard to determine. Balsa wood is a hardwood. It's not a very hard wood. All right, so we don't make any adjustments. We have this set. The joiner is a very versatile machine. Mostly what we do is joint the surface and the edge, but you actually can tilt the fence to bevel with it. You can also bring the fence all the way out and rabbet with it. We really don't use that much. Those are special techniques, and if you were doing it at home, you could. But what you want to make sure is that the fence and the table are square. We want to make sure that they're 90 degrees. Right here, you can loosen and move the fence back and forth. If we keep it in one place, the blade in that one spot will get dull. So every once in a while, I'll move it over. So sometimes you'll come in and notice that we're over here. And if you're surfacing a board that's 4 or 5 inches, you're going to need to bring it back. But when you're doing the edge, sometimes we'll move it back and forth. and we just lock it in place. Sometimes what we want to do is tilt the fence. So what we need to do is lock it, and then what we can do is, so I can do a beveled in here or this way. And right in here you have a gauge. So I am at 15 degrees, 16 degrees, 10 degrees. There's a little line right across here. Now, this might not be perfectly accurate, so we always test something first. And then when we want to go back to 0, that locks down and this is set. That should be 90 degrees. Key word being should be. Don't assume it is. What we want to do is get our square and double check it. We always want to make sure that the fence is square to the in-feed and the out-feed table. You can see a gap here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust that, bring that in, and I want to make sure there is no light coming through. And then what I will do is lock it in place. So when you have your board, you will have a nice 90-degree cut on it. There are a bunch of different push sticks that we will be using. You want to find one that is comfortable for you, and also depending on what you are doing, whether you are surfacing or joining an edge. So one of the things we want to make sure the dust collection system is on and we have the vent open. Therefore, the sawdust gets taken up. If you start seeing sawdust all over the place, chips, means the dust system is not on outside or you don't have that vent open. All right? I am going to walk through the process before I use a board. Number one, we do not want to be in line with the machine. We want to be standing by the side. We're actually going to walk the board through. We don't want to lean over. No baggy clothes, no loose jewelry, no long hair. If you have that, it has to be tied back. We don't want the blades to grab you or your clothing. Safety comes first. So here we have a board, and what I am going to do is I am going to joint an edge. We can joint the edge of the surface. We never do end grain. And end grain are the straws. Remember, wood is made up of straws. All right? And we know from before there is going with the grain and across the grain, with the straws or across the straws. So what we're going to do is we are going to joint an edge. We never do end grain. So here we go. I have the vent open. The on button is lit up, so we turn that on. And if you need to, all you have to do is tap that, and the red is the stop. I turn the machine on. Wait for it to come up to speed. The board needs to be against the table and against the fence. We don't just hold it. So what I want to do is I am going to put my hand against the wood, supporting it against the fence. I will slowly push it over. I remove my hand. I'm walking the board through. And I pull it out. Turn off the machine. As you can see, it has cleaned part of it here and here. I don't have a clean surface, so I'm going to have to go over it again and again. This board is taller than the fence, so I can run my hand over here, but safety first. So I'm going to show you the methods on walking your hands through. Here we go again. Hand down, keeping the board against the fence. Turn the machine on. Hand down, holding it in. Slowly push it. I am walking the board and pulling it out. I'm going to show you another one. Some of you might want to use a push stick. So what I'm going to do is hold this in here so the push stick is holding the board. Walk the board through. Again, you probably heard a cut, a pause, and a cut. this board is slightly curved. So until we have a clean edge all the way through, we have to do 3 or 4 passes. What I like to do sometimes is take a pencil, or in the olden days when we had chalkboards, I loved chalk because I could do this much quicker. So what I want to do is I have a whole bunch of marks, and I will pass it until they're all gone. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 or 2 more passes without explaining what I'm doing, because you've already heard it. On. Look at that, I was lucky it took it in 1 pass. I thought I might have another one. Okay, that's joining an edge.
On the joiner, when I'm joining an edge and the board is not taller than the fence, I must use push sticks. So what I can do is I can either hold it in and push it, or what I like to do is I hold in with my hand, I will use a push stick, and then I come over here. So here we go, we're on. I hold in and I'm pushing it. And now what I do is come over, grab it, and go over. Remember, your hand is never in contact going over the blade if it's lower than the fence. Here's another method. This will just hold it in. Walk the board, don't lean over. Use these, not these, save them.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to surface. Again, same procedures, but here I go, and I mark it. I want to make sure all the lines are gone. So now, this one is a little trickier. Again, on the table against the fence. I am going to now have to use a push stick. Never have your hand in contact with the wood as it goes over the blades. The wood moves the guard out. If the wood exploded or something happened, if you're going over a nut and your hand hit that, your fingers are gone. Safety first. So we must use a push stick when surfacing a board. All right, you want to find which one is comfortable, and we have a whole bunch of them. I'm just showing you 3 different ones. If the board is longer, of course you would use a bigger one versus a smaller one. All right, so here we go. We have the board, we have our lines on it. We are going on the table against the fence. Remember, don't freehand. It has to be supported by the fence and the table. When surfacing, sometimes what it's good to do is have a push stick that has a little piece in the back to help support it. So what it will do is grab the wood. All right? As you notice, the wood is thicker than that, so it's not going to cut the push stick. Some of the other push sticks will have that where these can drop down through. So as I said before, sometimes what you want to do is find the push stick that works best for you. So here we go. We are going to take this board, again, on the table against the fence. I get my push stick. All right. Sometimes you want a push stick in both hands. So I can help push the wood against the fence. All right. Again, remember, we don't want to do freehanding. It's against the table and against the fence. So I go on. Walk the board through, don't lean over the machine, and nice and slow. So here we still have a few more lines. And now we have a nice clean surface board. Sometimes what you'll be doing is a long board. And when you have a long board, sometimes you'll get someone to help you, or what we do is get a roller stand. So if I was working by myself, which is always not the best thing to do, you should always have somebody around. Let me get a roller stand. So if you're doing a larger board, longer board, sometimes you need a helper or a roller stand. So I can adjust it so it is the height of the out feed table. So what I would want to do is bring it up and get it so it's the height of it. I will check it with a board to make sure that I am the same height. I'm hitting that, so what I want to do is drop it down. We don't want it to go down. We also don't want to lift the board up. We will not have a true cut on this. So then what I can do is pull that back, and it will help support a longer board. Now, here we have a longer board. If I was going to joint the edge or surface that, that means I want to use this whole board. If I was going to cut this up, I would probably cut it up earlier. And we've heard about it. What I mentioned before is the sequence: rough cut, joint and edge, all right, rip to width, square one end, cut to length. That sequence you'll hear over and over again. So I would take this smaller, but I'm going to show you, if you did need a board this long, that you can joint it. So what I am going to do, again, make sure we're clear of scraps. It is on, against the table, against the fence, and what I'm going to slowly do, walking the board as you can see, it has just cleaned it in a couple little places. It will take 3 or 4 passes. We still have it rough here and here. Maybe one more pass. Now we have a clean edge all the way through. Again, you have a longer board. Sometimes you might want to have a friend help you. I have been doing this for quite a while, so I can hold the board against the table and the fence easily. Sometimes you might want to just have a friend help you in the class and just hold it against the fence for you. We also have what's called a feather board. Feather boards are very helpful too. When doing the longer pieces of wood, sometimes what you want to do is get a third hand. It's right here, called a feather board. So what I'd want to do is set the board up so it is the thickness of the wood, and then I would want to lock it on. And all that's going to do is help, so when the board goes through, it's pushing it against the fence. It's a third hand. So here we go, on. Walk with the board. And then you have a nice clean cut. If you go over the surface really, really quickly, or if you're not holding the board down, what will happen is the knives, the blades are going to push the wood up. So what will occur sometimes is the board is going to bounce up and down. And what it will make it look like is little waves across it. All right, let's just go over what we did.
When using any machine, make sure you don't have loose clothes, any jewelry, tuck it in, long hair, tie it back, eye safety, and ear protection.
There are different knives or blades. Each joiner is a little different. Some of them have 4 knives that make the blade. It's a cylinder. This has, I would call them teeth. The other ones, it's a single blade. So here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets. The other one will have 4. Some of them have 3. When one tooth or blade is dull, we want to change all of them. Let's go over and take a look at the other joiner. On this joiner, here we have, it's a single blade or knife. And again, it rotates. This has 4. Here's your in-feed table. It's a little lower. Your out-feed table is set to be at the perfect height because this is a round cylinder. The tip of the blade is the exact same height as the out-feed table. Please don't sit on the tables. You'll throw them out of adjustment. If you're having a problem, let me know right away. If you are surfacing a board and there's a little mound of wood, that means somebody went over with glue or with a nail. That's a no-no. All right, so it's chipped. Let me know right away, and I'll get Tim Kelleher, who is our magic man in the shop, and he will fix it. Matter of fact, that's him right there. You cannot do plywoods. You cannot do MDF board. It's for solid wood only. The board must be 12 inches in length. We don't want to surface anything below a 1/2 inch. The cousin, the planer, we don't want to go anything below a 1/4 inch. The other machine that we'll be going over is the planer, and the planer and the joiner are cousins, very similar. Area is clear of scraps, anti-skid material. Do not stand in line with the machine. Stand on the side. Don't lean over. Walk your material through. The joiner is a great machine. If it is used properly, all your rest of your cuts will be beautiful. We want to clean a surface before we go to the planer. We want to clean an edge before we go to the table saw. That's what it's used for. And if we're gluing up boards, we want to have 2 clean edges. When we put it together, I hold it up to the light. I don't see any light. I know I have 2 good straight surfaces. I'm ready to glue them up. I look forward to watching you demo the joiner to me. Have a great day.